Good morning. This is your Math Sensei, Mr. Spensei, and this is domain and range for continuous. And today we're going to change it up and we're going to add an arrow. And by the way, the very first thing I want you to do whenever you see an arrow is I want you to extend it off the graph. So when I'm extending it off to the graph, it goes to, in the x direction, this is going to negative infinity, and I'm going to put x. But in the y direction, excuse me, in the x direction, it's not going to negative infinity because it's essentially going this way. Because in the x direction, it's going this way forever, gradually going off to the right. So in the x direction, it's going to positive infinity. But in the, I wrote y, so the x direction going to positive infinity, but in the y direction, it's clearly going down. So in the y direction, it's going to negative infinity. And I don't care where you write them, but you need to write which one's going to where. So y direction is going to negative infinity, x direction is going to positive infinity. And by the way, an arrow is the same as having a hollow. Okay? So the domain. Well, we're going to start off with furthest to the left. Furthest to the left is right here. We draw this line. We go, okay, that's good. That goes to -6. So -6 gets a solid because it's a solid dot and it's a less than or equal to. And then it goes all the way forever and ever this way to the right to positive infinity. So it goes to positive infinity. So we're going to write that down in positive infinity. That the arrow acts like a hollow, so that means this is a less than. So this is going to be -6 less than or equal to x less than infinity. Okay, this is where things get different. We can't leave it with infinity. So what will happen is if we have that, we will drop the infinity. We'll just mark it out. We'll drop the infinity. And now we have this. But remember how we always wanted variables on the left to graph it? We want variables on the left to graph it again. And that's what we have here because we have -6 and we're arrowed off to the right to positive infinity. So this is going to be -6 greater than or equal to x because, oops, excuse me, I wrote that wrong. Sorry about that. X is greater than or equal to -6 because we want the variables on the left and we're going to flip the entire equation. And that also means we have to flip the sign. So make sure you're flipping the sign. Okay. Now, we only have to do it if the variables are on the left. If the variables are not on the left. Here, the variable wasn't on the left because I'm looking at this and it's like, oh, the variable's on the right. I got to flip the whole thing. So the range. Well, where do we start? I love these lights going on and off. Okay, the range. We're starting off the graph. We're starting at negative infinity. Okay, well, negative infinity, that means we're getting a hollow down here. This is a hollow or an arrow. So we're getting an arrow and it's going to negative infinity and then it's going up. And our highest point on this graph is at 7. So at 7 is a solid line. So we get a solid there. So that's a less than or equal to sign. So here we go. We're going to start off with our lowest point because we started off the graph at negative infinity, and hollows and arrows always get a less than y less than or equal to 7. Well, we can't have infinity, so we're going to scratch that part out. But in this case, the variable's already on our left, so our final answer is just y is less than or equal to 7. We don't have to flip it. The idea is when we're done, we always want the variable on the left-hand side if we have infinity so that we're finished with it. So let's continue on. Try another one. All right, so what's happening here? Well, this arrow is going this way. So in the x direction, it's continuing on. It's negative, 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 and becoming more negative. So the x direction is becoming negative, infinity. And the y direction is also becoming negative infinity. All right, so x direction is negative infinity, y direction is negative infinity. So when I start with the x, I'm starting off the graph at negative infinity. And negative infinity, and I can write this down, negative infinity. Remember, these are acts like a hollow, so this is going to be less than x. And then furthest to the right is at 6. So furthest to the right is 6, and this is a solid. So this is going this way, and it has an arrow. So we're going to put a 6 here, a solid, a less than or equal to. Well, once again, we can't have infinity, so this goes. But we need x being on the left. It already is, so x is less than or equal to 6 is our final answer. Okay, beginning with the y's. Well, this thing went off the graph, so our y's are way down here. Our y is down here at negative infinity. That's our y. And we go all the way up to 7. That 7 is a solid. Solid gets a less than or equal to. Negative infinity gets a less than because it acts just like a hollow. So we're going this way with our arrow. All right, we can't be bigger than 7, but we can go all the way to negative infinity. So let's draw this out. So our range is negative infinity, less than y, less than or equal to 7. Well, my variable, I can't have the infinity, so I cross it out. And I look, and my variables on my left, I'm good. I don't have to change anything. I don't have to flip anything. I only have to flip it if it's on the variables on the right. So let's try a couple more of these. This one's a little bit tricky. First off, we're going this way. So in the x, we're going to negative infinity, but in the y, we're going up. So the y is going to positive infinity. So let's start off with the x's. Well, the x is starting off the graph, which means it's starting at negative infinity. All right. And infinity always gets a less than because it acts like a hollow. So we're going to negative infinity. That's what we're going to. And furthest to the right is positive 2. That's a solid. We know that that gets a less than or equal to. So that's my graph because we're going to negative infinity. So let's do that. We have negative infinity less than x less than or equal to 2. Well, when I look at this, my variable's on the left, so we end up with x is less than or equal to 2 because remember, we can't include the infinity part, so we have to scratch that out. So this is my final answer for this one. Okay, the range. Well, we started at the bottom because we started at the lowest number, which is -5. That's a solid. So this is our less than or equal to. And we end up going off the graph. So we're going all the way up to positive infinity up here. And that gets a less than symbol because we're facing this way, and it goes just like that. So in this case, we have -5 less than or equal to y less than positive infinity. Everything's good here. We don't have to flip the sign. We only flip the sign if it's the other way. So my final answer for this one, ooh, this is wrong. Excuse me. We don't scratch out the -5. We scratch out the positive infinity. So I have this and it's backwards. So I need to start with y. I have to flip the sign. So this is changing directions. And then this becomes -5 on that side because everything flipped. We just rewrote it and flipped everything. And by the way, it asks if this is a function or a non-function. I hit it twice, so this is a non-function. All right, this one acts as the function or non-function. I can draw vertical lines and I only hit it in one spot, so this is a function. Once again, we're going off in this direction, which means our x is going to negative infinity. So let's deal with that. We'll put a negative infinity right here for the x. So that's going to negative infinity. And that's where we're starting. Negative infinity, infinity always gets a less than, so this gets a less than. And we're going all the way to +7. 7 has a hollow, so we're putting a hollow here. So this is also a less than. And we're going in this direction with our arrow that way. So we're starting off with negative infinity, less than x, less than 7. I can't have this part, but fortunately my variable comes first, so I have x is less than 7. I don't have to flip it. That one's done. With the range, I drew it off the graph, and we'll come back to that in a second. We hit at 3, and it's a solid line. So this is going to be -3 less than or equal to. And we go off the graph, and we keep going up. So we're going up to positive infinity, way up here. Positive infinity gets a less than symbol. So here we go. In this case, we have -3 is less than or equal to y is less than positive infinity. Once again, can't have the infinity. And I notice this is not in the right order, so I have to flip everything. So y greater than or equal to -3. So with that said, couple things. You only have to rewrite and flip it if the variable is not on the left. You have to have the variable on the left when you're working with infinities. When is that going to happen? That's going to happen if you have positive infinities. So if you have negative infinity, you don't have to worry about it. Up here, well, right here, negative infinity, the x was fine. Negative infinity, the x was fine. Positive infinity, the y was no good. Positive infinity, the y was no good. Okay? Negative infinity for the y, no problem. Negative infinity for the x, no problem. On this one, negative infinity for the y, no problem. Here we had a positive infinity, so we had a positive infinity, so we had to flip it. So you have to always have the variable on the left when you're working with infinity. And so you eliminate infinity and you must have variable on the left. The only time you have to flip it is if you have a positive infinity. All right, I hope this helps, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.